direction. And when you go online, it becomes very important to remain within that particular area. And we are used to listen the things about plagiarism, but I wanted to share the academic integrity because it's a more broader term, and later on we'll also discuss the plagiarism as well. So what we are going to discuss, and what kind of answers we are going to get, uh, these are basically few questions which I have listed, and will try to get the answers of these questions. The first question is, what is academic integrity, or what is academic misconduct? The second question would be, generally, we understand there's a similar thing, academic integrity and plagiarism, but we'll try to find out what is the difference. And third is, uh, this is important for me actually. We call it, sometimes we say it's unintentionally happened, or sometimes we say it's intentionally. So we need to figure out and how we deal, and how higher education commission and how the institution deal with this kind of thing, which when we call it intentional or unintentional. Then fourth question I'll be addressing, is it a local or international issue? We call it that. We used to listen this word, and we used to have the news in media, and we are concerned, but we need to understand whether this is a local phenomena or it's an international issue. Then there is a another question. We are dealing it technically, I believe, through Turnitin and through other software. It is technical, or it is uh, an ethical issue. We need to understand it. And then we'll be discussing what is HEC plagiarism policy, what kind of penalties are there, particularly for the faculty and for the students. Ladies and gentlemen, just I'm sharing this photograph of Urdu Bazaar. If you could see, and you can read in Urdu that what is written over there. These are the assignments of Allama Iqbal Open University available, and these are supposed to be prepared by the students. Those are prepared by someone else and available in Urdu Bazaar, and you can get a copy from there. There is another news in Dawn, and it was published in 2088. And I'm not going to go in detail, but just going through it, that you would be able to understand what is going on. And there are many who has already actually listened about, and they have been thinking, and they have been, I mean, talking about the plagiarism and the issues related to plagiarism in academia. These are few news published in certain newspapers. Now let's come to the point, and we'll be talking about what is academic integrity. It is important to understand that academic integrity is basically code of conduct which governs any academic institution. And you can say those are the standards on which the academia operates. The standards, what kind of standards? Standards related to grades, standards related to publications, standards related to research, teaching, and other academic efforts. And those efforts are conducted in an above board and in an honest fashion. Those are called academic integrity. This is the simple definition. Then we'll talk about what kind of academic misconduct we usually have. We have listened about plagiarism. Okay, fine. Plagiarism is copying someone else's work. Someone else has done the job, has written the research paper, or has written the book, and you are taking that particular paragraph or paragraphs or a whole paper, and publishing it as your own. It's plagiarism. Cheating, it comes under academic misconduct. uh, Cheating in exam, cheating in assignment work, in quiz work. And then there is another kind of misconduct which call it inappropriate collaboration. What is inappropriate collaboration? Inappropriate collaboration is basically, I have done a job, I have written a research paper, and someone else has added or tried to add his or her name, or I have added his or her name without any intellectual contribution. Or you have done anything, any research work, and I try to put my name in there as maybe as supervisor, maybe as your friend, and this is called inappropriate collaboration, and that comes under academic misconduct. Then there is a duplicate submission. This is another kind of academic misconduct. We don't allow it. I mean, you have written a research paper, you send it to a particular conference, and you try to publish it in other research journal. That is not allowed, and that comes under academic misconduct. Or at the same time, you have written a research paper and you have shared uh, in two research journals for the publication. That is ethically wrong. And then impersonation, I mean, you are representing someone else, and there comes the academic fraud. That is another kind of academic misconduct. Uh, Dear students, there are other kinds of academic misconduct. Deception is another kind of academic misconduct. What we call deception, it's a false information you share with your teacher and instructor, or when you are concerning a formal academic exercise. There are a few people who try to actually interact. I would like to say that we'll take the question answer session at the end of the presentation. So we'll continue. Yes, Zishan, and there are a few others who are trying to raise their hands. So I would like to request them that they can write their questions in the question answer session. So we'll take those questions and we'll try to address in at the end of the presentation. Thank you. There is fabrication. Fabrication is another kind of academic misconduct. Fabrication is basically falsification of data. You have falsified and you have modified the data for your own purpose to get the results of your own choices, and the information or citations, those are falsified. That is called fabrication. Then impersonation, we have already discussed impersonation. And professional misconduct, this is again very important. Professional misconduct is usually done by the uh, teachers, and when you talk about that they have not been proper, or uh, uh, they have shown improper behavior about grading of students papers, oral exams, grade fraud, deliberate negligence towards cheating, or assisting anyone in cheating. There we call the professional misconduct. It could be from the faculty, staff, or anyone who is at that level, who may be able to help someone beyond, I mean, the regular things. Then if the student or professor, he or she is preventing someone to complete his or her the other's work, we call it, and we take it in the area of academic misconduct. So these are the different types of academic misconduct. Plagiarism is part of academic integrity and the academic misconduct. Plagiarism is one factor in academic misconduct. So generally, this is the general area and general phenomena we are usually dealing with. So we'll discuss in detail the plagiarism. What plagiarism is? Number one, this is the common thing which we are actually doing it intentionally or unintentionally. Sometimes we are doing it intentionally, and sometimes those are not things intentionally, but we are committing the wrong things. That is using published work without referencing. You are taking the things, and here I would like to say a very important thing. It is important to understand that we are not going to reinvent the wheel. We need to take help from the others' work. The researcher needs to take help from the others' work. What has already been done by others, you are going to move a step ahead. Meaning by you need to take help from the others, what they have written, what they have done. But what you need to do, you need to give references, and you need to give the credit of the original author. That's it. That's important. Sometime you are doing it, sometime you are not doing it, and when you are avoiding intentionally or unintentionally, that comes under the area of plagiarism. So copying coursework essays is a plagiarism. Collaborating with any other person when the work is supposed to be individual. There's a kind of individual task given to the students, and you are taking help from other colleagues. You are not supposed to, then it comes under the area of plagiarism. When taking another person's computer file or program without permission, that comes under the area of plagiarism. And then submitting another person's work as your own. I mean, someone has done 3 years, 4 years before, and you have taken that kind of, you have copied that work and you have submitted as your own. That is plagiarism. The use of unacknowledged material published on website. I mean, this is the usual thing we usually do. We take the material from the any website, and we, without acknowledging that website or the source, we try to write it as our own work. So purchase of model assignment. I've given you the example of Alama Iqbal Open University, the assignments work over there, how they are, selling and how the people are purchasing. And this is basically the plagiarism. Copying another student's results, uh, that is plagiarism, and then falsifying results is a plagiarism. So, okay, there's a question. If I'm doing it intentionally, fine, I should be penalized, or if I'm doing it unintentionally, what should be done? So I would like to clarify that whether you are doing it intentionally or unintentionally, you are committing a wrong thing and you will be dealt accordingly. So keep it in mind. You need to understand what is the formal procedure, what is the legal procedure of using the others' work and citing those things or research work an appropriate way is very important for you. So dear students and faculty members, we usually understand this is the local phenomena and we are dealing this issue only in Pakistan. No, I mean, it's an international issue and international phenomena. There are a number of factors contributing towards plagiarism, but they we cannot discuss in detail that area, but it is important to understand that it's not only the local issue. The international community, academic community, they are dealing the plagiarism, or they are dealing in a different way. There is another debate whether we can deal it plagiarism in a technical or way. Zahir Sab has having a second session, and he'll try to share the use of Turnitin. Turnitin is basically giving you the similarity index. It's not the plagiarism detection software. The most important, we need to understand that plagiarism issue or the academic integrity issue or the academic misconduct issue is basically the more ethical issue. And what we need to do, we need to prepare our students, our faculty, and our researchers to deal with this phenomena. We need to run the awareness campaigns like this kind of workshop or webinar, and other, we need to train them how to deal with this phenomena. So until unless you don't prepare your students and your faculty, and I'm talking about the faculty particularly right now, that you need to prepare your students that how to deal with, how to avoid that plagiarism kind of thing. And this is only possible when you deal it is an ethical issue. So if you think that this is wrong, mentally and otherwise, then you can deal with this issue. Okay, let's talk about keeping in view. We have around 5 minutes. We'll try to finish within 5 minutes this presentation. Uh, what is HEC plagiarism policy? The HEC plagiarism policy is available online and it's freely available on the HEC website. But what kind of penalties are there? This is important to understand for our students and faculty and staff. When you deal with the teachers, researchers, and staff, there are basically three kind of penalties. The first one, we call it major penalty. The second one is moderate penalty, and the third one is we are dealing in other way. The first one is the major penalty. When you take what when we call it the major penalty, when you take the major part of the published work and you present it as your own without referencing or giving the citation of that original work, then it comes under the major penalty. And what will how the committee would handle it? The plagiarism standing committee can recommend a major penalty of dismissal from service. And number two, the offender may be blacklisted and may not be eligible for employment in any academic research organization. And the third penalty could be the notification of blacklisted author on, and it can be published on websites. It is, of course, the discretion of the vice chancellor, rector, or head of organization. So, the dear faculty members, I mean, this is a second kind of penalty where if you have taken few paragraphs from the published work and you have not cited that and you have not given the references of those paragraphs, then it comes under the moderate penalty. So what the plagiarism standing committee can recommend: number one, demotion to the next lower grade. Number two, of course, the blacklisting of and printing in the published print media and the websites. And the third is we call it minor penalty. If there are only few paragraphs are taken from the external sources and you have not given the references, you have not cited your work, Zahir Saab would be taking care of the how to avoid plagiarism. It comes that okay, how to give the citations and how to avoid it. That I'm just talking about the penalties, and this is the minor penalty. If the few paragraphs are taken from the external sources, that comes in the minor penalties, and the plagiarism standing committee can recommend the warning. Number one, uh, and this area deals with the researchers, faculty members, and the staff of academic institution. Warning can be given: freezing of all research grants. Number three, promotions or the annual increments can be stopped. HEC uh, university university can debar the offender from sponsorship. He cannot get the travel grants, supervision of PhD, scholarships, and other such kind of facilities from the HEC. So this area actually, HEC policy deals with the students when an act of plagiarism is occurred and it is proved that the student has done the plagiarism. Uh, the plagiarism standing committee can recommend, in case of thesis, the responsibility, and this is important to understand by the students, that it is not the responsibility of supervisor, it's your responsibility. You need to avoid plagiarism, and it is your duty that you need to produce the original work and with the proper citation. The offender can be expelled from the university, the Plagiarism Standing Committee can suggest and recommend that offender may be relegated to the lower class, and offender may be given the failure grade. The offender can be fined according to the university rules. The offender may be given a written warning. And the last point is very important. The degree of the student at any level, if he has or he or she has obtained the degree, he has taken the degree, and the at any level it is proved that the thesis is comes under the major penalty and it is plagiarized work, the degree can be withdrawn at any time during that period and after that even. So about the authors, I mean, if there is kind of published work, the notification of the plagiarism by the authors may be published in print media or may be published on different websites at the discretion of vice chancellor, rector, head of organization. So, dear students, there's another kind of penalty that the HEC or the organization can take over any kind of sponsorship he has already taken, or he can be debarred from taking that kind of sponsorship or travel grant or fellowships. And it would be according to the recommendation of plagiarism standing committee. Uh, Plagiarism standing committee can ask for any other penalty if they feel that there could be another difficulty. So these are the references. I've taken the help. Thank you very much. And over to Dr. Amber.
Thank you, sir.
It's exactly, Dr. Amber, it's exactly here are 6:30. So there it would be exactly 3:30.
Yes, sir. It's 3:30.
Fine.
Thank you. It was very informative, and at least for me, and I'm sure for everybody else too. HEC has quite some penalties for plagiarism. I mean, it's not worth it to plagiarize just for one paper or one thesis, and then you will have this tag with you for the rest of your career. So the next session, we are. I also want to tell that we are having your questions, and we will answer them at the end of this session. The next session